Who was most likely to improvise during a scene?
Sacha Baron Cohen.
Right now, you look like Okay, come on, we got it.
Can you believe what's really happening behind the scenes at Marvel? Forget what you heard about Ironheart's flop. This isn't just a show that underperformed. It's a full-blown bombshell of alleged ego, control battles, and a studio desperate to bury the truth. And Sacha Baron Cohen, he just ripped the lid right off this whole thing. We are dissecting the Ironheart catastrophe, and his explosive claims are only scratching the surface of a scandal Marvel wants to make disappear. So, who was reportedly the most likely to, let's say, hijack the script during filming? According to sources, it was Sacha Baron Cohen himself, playing Mephisto, but his improvisation pales next to the alleged antics of the show's lead, Dominique Thorne. You might look at the ratings and think, Marvel, get it together! But believe me, we're about to expose why so many are utterly frustrated with this. There's a massive conversation around Dominique Thorne's purported clashes and the dismal Ironheart ratings. One particular comment really hit home. How do you feel about the impact this is having on young black girls? And honestly, guys, on black women in general, it's crucial because this space should be vibrant. But when situations like this unfold, it raises serious questions. You know, some folks might say, that's just pure ego. You'd never catch me with that kind of attitude, not in a million years.
I can understand why she's frustrated. That's how I feel watching her interviews.
How do you feel about the impact that she's having on young black girls? And I'm going to be completely honest, on black women.
You know, this is yet another area that's getting vibrant. It's getting full in the way that it should.
But let's look at the cold, hard numbers. And spoiler alert, they're exactly what most of us expected. The Ironheart ratings are, well, in the gutter. Dominique Thorne allegedly stated, Marvel fans just need to take a step back and stop focusing on our support for both diversity and LGBTQ elements, claiming that as some form of a hidden message. Honestly, an AI-driven narrative? Preposterous. Ridiculous, even for an MCU show. And the Heist Crew in the show? Lame. Every single one of them. Lame. I'm genuinely confused about these characters, especially since Slug, our hacker extraordinaire, is bizarrely the exact opposite in the same show. Truly baffling. The ratings were a massive disappointment. Looking at the first 3 days Ironheart was out, we have specific viewership numbers. Compare that to something like Daredevil's first 3 days, which garnered over 300 million minutes watched, with less runtime. Ironheart hasn't come close. Now, Marvel bigwigs Kevin Feige and Bob Iger are reportedly in full-blown damage control mode. They're supposedly spouting lines like, "Don't trust the negative reviews. Don't trust the trades." Sounds desperate, doesn't it? One comment sums it up. Ironheart is the biggest flop Marvel of all time.
One major development going on now involves more to do with Dominique Thorne going off at the fans yet again in the midst of the Ironheart ratings disaster.
That is all ego. You would never find me with an ego like that, not with my fallopian tubes.
Comes to the numbers. Spoiler alert, kind of exactly what we expect.
Another highlights the absurdity. Supposedly smarter than Tony Stark, bites an electric wire, sells her soul to gain magic powers, uses new powers to steal. Then you have brilliant observations like, what did the writers mean by this smoke detector beeps? They were genuinely doing everything to prop up this series. That's exactly why Robert Downey Jr. was reportedly on talk shows begging people to believe Riri Williams was the best new MCU addition, the true heir to Tony Stark. But the real question is this. Was Dominique Thorne secretly the reason Ironheart flopped so spectacularly? When Marvel first announced Ironheart, the hype was real. This was supposed to be the rise of Riri Williams, the brilliant tech genius inheriting Tony Stark's legacy. Expectations were sky high. But what fans didn't anticipate was the utter chaos allegedly unfolding behind the scenes. You could feel the desperation as they pushed, "See, it deserves your attention. Ironheart deserves your attention." That's how you know, guys, they were panicking to get people to watch. Yet, after I did my initial reaction, all I heard was, hey, it wasn't that bad after the first 3 episodes. But let's be brutally honest. The show didn't just underperform. It completely collapsed under the weight of its own ambition.
Ironheart Ratings in the gutter.
Now, Thorne delivered the following, in a desperate play to salvage the series. I think Marvel fans, she says, just need to take a step back and to stop focusing on our support for both diversity and LGBTQ and claiming that as some form of a hidden message.
Critics slammed the pacing, tore apart the writing, and notably, Dominique Thorne's performance. Sources allege that she wasn't just controlling, she was apparently arrogant to everyone, especially when things inevitably went sideways. My God, the sheer entitlement! This isn't just about a character, it's about a star allegedly getting a massive ego, pulling a real-life Rachel Zegler or Edward Norton, trying to dictate a multi-million-dollar production. When does an actor gain this much power? Now, in a shocking twist, Sacha Baron Cohen, playing Mephisto, has reportedly come forward with dangerous claims. In a revealing interview where he broke his silence, an interview that has since absolutely exploded across social media, Cohen didn't hold back. He alleges one person was responsible for the toxic environment. One person who supposedly tried to seize control, Dominique Thorne. These details make Ironheart seem like one of the MCU's worst executed ideas, despite genuine potential. Sacha Baron Cohen describes a workplace that felt less like collaboration and more like a dictatorial regime, where crew members walked on eggshells, directors were second-guessed, and actors reportedly tiptoed around a rising star who, even then,
Natalie AI thing seems utterly preposterous and ridiculous, and even for an MCU show, I'm finding it to be a little bit of a bridge too far to go. The Heist Crew, all lame. Every single one of them, all lame.
Apparently believed she had absolute control. It wasn't collaborative. He claimed it was controlled. He even considered walking away. I was brought in to play a role, he said, but halfway through, I felt like I was just watching someone else hijack the show. Most damning, Sacha suggested his Mephisto role was significantly cut in post-production, not for story reasons, but because he refused to reshoot under unworkable creative conditions. If true, Marvel didn't just lose its villain, it lost a huge chunk of its overarching storyline, all due to this alleged drama. And Sacha isn't the only one who reportedly felt this way. Sacha Baron Cohen didn't just speak out. He dropped a bombshell. His interview, which exploded across social media, began casually, but when asked, "Was Ironheart fun to work on?" he paused, then stated, "You ever work on a project where one person thinks they're the director, the star, the producer, and the studio head all at once?" And just like that, it was on. He went on to describe the environment on set as tense, awkward, and honestly, kind of scary. Dominique Thorne, he claimed, was not just assertive, she was allegedly overpowering. She routinely took over creative discussions, rewriting lines, disregarding direction, and arguing with department heads. There was this one day,
and so in this, I'm not sure what they're meant to be, because this character isn't to be confused with Slug.
Slug, our hacker extraordinaire.
Who is also the exact opposite in the same show. I'm really confused.
Sacha recounted, "We were shooting this key scene and she stopped mid-take, saying, 'No, this isn't how Riri would react. We need to change this.' The director reportedly just stood there, unsure. This happened regularly. Other actors and crew were allegedly subject to her corrections. She was treating people like NPCs in her own video game," he said, the humor fading quickly. He claimed that by week 3, some crew members were reportedly calling her the Iron Dictator behind closed doors. When anyone pushed back, Dominique would either shut down or escalate, turning disagreements into full-blown confrontations. Sacha claimed the studio knew, suggesting producers planned fallout before wrapping. "You could feel it," he said. They knew this wasn't going to end well. It's one thing for a performance to fall flat. It's another when a co-star like Sacha Baron Cohen paints such a chaotic picture. But his claims weren't the only signs. Insiders, speaking anonymously to industry blogs, confirmed what Sacha hinted at. The production was allegedly riddled with conflict, centered on Dominique Thorne. Reports claimed entire shooting days were lost due to creative disagreements. Scripts were reportedly rewritten mornings of filming, not by writers, but allegedly by Dominique. She'd literally grab a pen and start marking up the page. a crew member allegedly told an insider blog. Then she'd hand it back and say, "This is how Riri would say it. No discussion." This wasn't just annoying, it was expensive.
Was a massive disappointment in the ratings for them, certainly. We do know, when you go and you look at through these charts, the first couple days it was out, because we have 3 days of Ironheart in these numbers, just like we had 3 days of Daredevil in these numbers. And Daredevil in those first 3 days had over 300 million minutes watched. So, and that was with less possible runtime than something like Ironheart.
Marvel, already tightening budgets after Quantumania, couldn't afford Ironheart's delays. Each reshot or reblocked scene burned time and money. There was a now infamous night shoot that insiders claim was completely shut down. The scene involved Mephisto confronting Riri, a major turning point. But Dominique allegedly refused to perform it as written, clashed with the director, stormed off, and refused to return until it was fixed. The crew waited hours. Nothing was shot. The night was scrapped. One assistant director reportedly quit the following week. A camera operator was reassigned, and a makeup artist posted cryptically, "Sometimes the costume isn't the only armor people wear on set." Even uninvolved actors reportedly noticed the tension. Less laughter, fewer off-camera bonding moments, the usual Marvel family vibe was gone. It got so bad, an executive reportedly flew from LA just to observe. That kind of intervention rarely happens. But it did for Ironheart. Fans had no idea the drama boiling beneath the surface. All they saw was a half-baked final product. But knowing what happened behind the camera, it makes perfect sense. And if you think this chaos was bad, wait until you hear how Marvel allegedly tried to clean it all up before the show even dropped. By wrap, Marvel executives weren't celebrating, they were scrambling. What should have been a bold, progressive project had apparently become a slow-moving disaster. Internally, Ironheart buzz plummeted from excitement to deep concern. Not just about quality, but alleged behavior. According to sources, Marvel quietly flagged the show as at risk months before premiere. Reports cited unusual rewrites, uncooperative dynamics, and a divided set where one camp followed directors. The other, Dominique Thorne. In a closed-door meeting, Marvel higher-ups reviewed early cuts and were stunned.
Yet we know that it hasn't matched that.
Now is that we know that Kevin Feige and Bob Iger, they're also engaging in damage control about this show, saying things like, don't trust the negative reviews, don't trust the trades, stuff like that.
Ironheart is the biggest L of Marvel of all time. The reactions are just spectacular. Supposedly he's smarter than Tony Stark, bites an electric wire, sells her soul to gain magic powers, uses new powers to steal. What did the writers mean by this? Smoke detector beeps.
Kevin Feige reportedly found it unfocused and out of sync with the MCU. So, what did Marvel do? They allegedly went into silent damage control. First, marketing scaled back. Compared to shows like Loki or Moon Knight, Ironheart's promo was quiet. Trailers were delayed, cast interviews were limited. Social media rollout was almost invisible. Then came the infamous edit. Sacha Baron Cohen's Mephisto role, originally multi-episode, was drastically slashed. According to Sacha, entire scenes were cut because he refused to reshoot under unworkable conditions. Marvel allegedly chose to remove them. A drastic move, given fan anticipation for Mephisto. Even Dominique's own character arc was reportedly altered. Rumors suggest her character was softened, and leadership confrontational scenes trimmed to avoid reinforcing the real-life problem their stars' perceived dominance. Then came NDAs. Crew and secondary cast were reminded of legal consequences for leaks. Marvel took no chances. They reportedly chose silence. No public statement, no official comment, just quiet edits, minimal promotion, hoping Ironheart would somehow justify Season 2. But Marvel's silence didn't stop speculation, especially as fans connected dots from subtle but revealing signs shared by the cast themselves. If there's one thing Marvel actors are trained to do, it's keep secrets. But after Ironheart dropped, fans noticed something strange about the cast's behavior and the things they simply weren't saying. No celebratory press tour, no heartfelt thank yous. The silence was deafening. But small cracks showed. In one Instagram Live, a supporting actor asked about working with Dominique replied, "Riri's an intense character, and so is the process." He smiled, then immediately moved on. It felt rehearsed. Or careful. Another cast member allegedly liked a tweet. Ironheart had so much potential until ego took the wheel. It was unliked hours later, but the screenshot went viral. Then, unfollows. Dominique quietly unfollowed several co-stars. No drama, just cuts. One co-star reportedly returned the gesture. A crew member posted a vague TikTok with a blurry photo.
And they were doing everything in their power to really prop up this show. That's exactly why they had RDJ, Robert Downey Jr., some weeks ago going on talk shows to really say that Riri is the best thing to the MCU to represent the legacy of Tony Stark.
Sometimes the hardest part of a job isn't the work, it's surviving the people. It was deleted. The subtle distancing continued. At another MCU event, a journalist asked an Ironheart cast member if they'd work with Dominique again. Reply, "I think we all grow and learn from every experience." A classic PR answer. Polite, but not enthusiastic. None of this is irrefutable proof, no direct public accusations. But the hints are there. Avoidance, lack of interaction, nervous glances. When combined with Sacha Baron Cohen's revelations, the picture clears. This wasn't just an awkward set, guys. This was a fractured cast trying to avoid a PR bomb. Now, with Sacha Baron Cohen's public allegations, insider leaks, and a cast that seems more distant than united, Dominique's promising future is shaky. Is Marvel quietly cutting ties? Or reassessing? Either way, Riri Williams' once rising star has dimmed fast. In an industry where perception is everything, Dominique may face her hardest chapter, the comeback. Whether she deserves a second chance is debatable, but one thing's certain. When Sacha Baron Cohen reportedly exposed what he saw, it didn't just spark a scandal. It exposed cracks in an empire supposed to be invincible, and brutally reminded everyone that even the biggest stars can fall. But now, I want to hear what you guys think in the comments below. Did Dominique Thorne truly cross a line on set? Is Marvel really trying to cover this up? Or is Sacha Baron Cohen exaggerating the chaos? Also, a quick side note, I genuinely hope this doesn't completely derail the future of the MCU. That would be a real shame. Anyway, I hope you guys enjoyed this deep dive into the Ironheart saga, and I'll see you in a new video soon. Peace out, Seshers!